Welcome back to another Sunday Stitches. Today I'm going to be adding a cute little pumpkin to this Oh My Gourd embroidery hoop, and I'm taking you along for the ride. It's going to be a pretty simple project. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm market prepping. I sell these art hoops at my markets, and this one is super cute. I have a fall market this weekend, and I'm pretty sure someone is going to love it. So we're going to add a little pumpkin and some florals to this hoop. Let's get started. So to get started, I have a 6-inch embroidery hoop here. The Oh My Gourd is stitched by machine. It just saves me time. If I had to hand stitch the Oh My Gourd, which we could do with a satin stitch, it would take probably another hour or two to actually stitch this up, and then the price would be beyond what someone would want to pay at a market. So what I do is I machine stitch any of the lettering, any of the funny phrases that I do in my hoops, and then I hand stitch a cute little detail on the hoop. In this case, we are going to be doing a pumpkin because Oh My Gourd is pumpkin related. So we're going to start with using a Frixion pen. This is a heat erasable pen. So when I'm all done, I can use my little mini iron and take away the ink. But I'm going to start by drawing a pumpkin down at the bottom. If you're following along with me, it is super simple to draw a pumpkin. And of course, it doesn't have to be perfect because no one's going to see where these original lines were. They're going to erase when we're all done. But it's going to give us a good guideline to get started. So you're going to start by just drawing an oval. So you're just going to draw an oval where you want the center of your pumpkin. Once you're done with your oval, you're going to create a couple of C's on each side. So this is a backward C, another backward C, and then you're going to create another backward C and another backward C. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is a cute little pumpkin. I might raise this up a little bit so the top of the pumpkin kind of matches, but pumpkins in nature don't always match. So we're also going to give it a little stem here. Again, a little C to the left, come up, and then C kind of back down. And look, we've got a little branching stalk for our pumpkin. So this is pretty cute. The only thing I might add, I'm debating on if we add florals or maybe just a little bit of grass here. I think we might just add just a little bit of like grass. So we're just going to kind of give ourselves a few little grass lines. Don't worry, those are all going to erase. And then I might add like a little border when we're all done. So to fill this in, today I'm actually going to be using Valdani pearl cotton. I thought this variegated orange would be pretty to fill in our pumpkin space. And we're just going to be doing a simple satin stitch, which is just stitching back and forth. When I'm satin stitching an oval or a circle, I actually start in the middle. And again, these are guidelines. So if I want this line up here to be a little bit more rounded, we can do that. And all we're going to do is come up. I'm going to start at the bottom here along one of those lines or just outside it. I'm going to go all the way across to the other side, just like this. And because it's variegated, I'm going to come up right next to it or pretty close to, maybe one stitch length away, and then just come back down the other side. And we're just going to keep filling in back and forth all the way across our pumpkin. You can see as this is starting to curve, my lines are getting shorter. I'm just continuing to follow that line. Coming up right next to it. And again, we're going to just keep following that line. This is going to give us that nice pumpkin definition. And if you see any spaces or gaps, so like right here, I'm seeing a little gap, you can go ahead and just pop in and throw in an extra line where you need it. From here, I want to come up just a little bit higher. From here, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the second half of this pumpkin. And again, this Valdani pearl cotton is variegated, so it's going to give us some pretty cool coloring in here, which I absolutely love. Okay, our center circle is done. Next, we're going to start filling in the sides. When I do something like this, it's going to be interesting because it's going to curve both ways. So what I'm going to actually do is, again, kind of start in the middle at the bottom. I'll come up, and then we're going to work our way to what I think is the harder side, the side that's going to bump up right against this middle section here. So let's start heading that way. Okay, so now we actually have two sections. We have this little triangle up here and the triangle below. We're going to fill them in individually. We don't want to continue doing straight lines all the way across this section because it'll interfere with this center oval. So I'm actually just going to go right up until where this oval meets. So right here. And then I'm going to kind of just follow that line right down, and that'll give us nice clear lines between each section. Now we're going to continue on and fill in the rest of this shape, and we're going to do this for the rest of the C's in our project. We're going to fill them all in using that same technique. Okay, we finished the main pumpkin sections. Next, we're going to tackle this stem, and I think I'm going to kind of split the difference between these. We're going to kind of come up halfway. I'm going to start just by outlining it, and I'm probably going to do something like just a basic like fill stitch, long and short-ish stitch. We're just going to kind of, I don't know, it's almost going to be like thread painting just to kind of fill in the space since it's such an unusual shape. I think that would be the easiest thing to do. And these stems of the pumpkins tend to be pretty quirky anyway. Actually, I might curve it down just a little bit. I think that would be cute. We're going to curve down a little. Because remember, we don't have to stay exactly where our drawing is. We can go a little bit rogue. We're drawing with our stitching today. Yeah, we like that. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of start filling in some stitches long, some stitches short. They are going to be at kind of some different angles. The stitches need to kind of radiate in and then go up and around. So they're not going to be perfectly parallel. And we're just going to be filling in spaces kind of as if we were drawing, but with thread. Some stitches long, some stitches short so that they blend. What's nice about this variegated thread is it's going to give us some texture and some extra perspective without us having to do as much work, without having to add in extra thread colors. Okay, so our main stalk stem is finished. Now let's add in a little bit of grass on the edges. So again, for the grass, we're just going to be kind of drawing it in. Different lengths. Doesn't have to perfectly match your lines. Just alternate some shorter stitches and some longer stitches. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we've added in our grass. What I want to do now, before I add anything else to this project, is actually clean up our ink work. So I've got my Cricut mini press heating up right next to me here. My Cricut mini press. It's perfect for just small projects. It's probably warm enough at this point to remove our ink lines. I'll link this in the description below, along with like my Frixion pen and some of my favorite tools that I like to use for embroidery. So if you're interested in these types of supplies, I will just link them in the description below. Basically, we're just going to be using it to remove all of the ink. And it's gone, just like magic. So that looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. Now, when we're freeform stitching, we have to think about our space, our negative space. Is this going to get too busy if I put something in? When we're all finished and done, all of this extra fabric is going to be tucked behind. And I think it needs just maybe just a little bit of something. I think we're going to do just a cute little border. And normally, so one of the things I think about as I'm making these is how much time I'm spending on them, because I want to make sure that the price stays reasonable. And generally I sell these hoops for, I would say, a moderately low price given how much handwork goes into it. So I don't want to overdo them either, but my designer sewing style is maximalist. So I tend to just keep adding because I want everything to be full and I want there to be good values. So I think because this is a pumpkin and pumpkins come with vines, we're going to do just a really simple vine border. I'm going to we'll get out our Frixion pen again just to kind of give us, again, these Frixion pen is not meant to be like permanent. It's to give us an idea of like where we're going to be. So we're just sketching here and I want to kind of stay maybe like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch away from the border. So I just want to give myself like a guideline so that I don't get too wobbly. Granted, if you have a pumpkin vine, it doesn't have to be perfect. See, like this got a little tight. We're going to come right through here. Now, actually, my Frixion pen's still warm, so I can just touch this up a bit. There we go. Okay, so at least that gives me an idea of like where we're going to be stitching. Again, I'm going to be using my green variegated Valdani. And this gray mat is just a heat mat to protect my working surface so that I don't burn or char anything. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is, let's just do a split stitch. Actually, you know what? We'll do a whipped backstitch. all the way along this line, and then we're going to add some leaves to it as we go. Well, we're going to add some leaves to it when we're done. I'll put it that way. Okay, we've done our whipped backstitch vine. Now we're going to add some intermittent tiny little leaves. To do this, we're just going to bring our needle up a little ways off of our vine, and we're going to be doing basically like a teardrop shape or a partial lazy daisy stitch. Bring your needle right back down, almost in the same hole that you came up in. Bring your needle back up again, right along your vine. Pull it through that loop, and now you've got a tiny little leaf. We're going to just tack that right in place. And we're going to do this all along our vine, just intermittently, to give it that nice little fall vine, pumpkin patch sort of shape. Okay, we finished our vine. I think it's looking cute. It's definitely looking kind of country, homeady, but at this point, I think we got to call it. It's getting a little bit busy, and I don't want to overdo it either. So we're going to finish it by putting a nice wooden board in the back of our hoop. Sometimes this can be a little tricky. Sometimes I have to add a little bit extra fabric just to make sure it's taut. But we're going to try to just place this wooden board right back there. Perfect. Nice and snug in there. Perfect. Our ornament is all ready for our market this weekend. We did it. We finished up our oh my gourd hoop. It's ready for our market this weekend. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe try to capture footage from my market this weekend. I'll see if I can do a market vlog for us. The following weekend, I have a really big market I'm a little bit nervous for. I might try to capture just vlogging that whole weekend. It's a 3-day market, so that's the biggest market. It's one of the biggest markets we've ever done. We did one last year that was supposed to be that big, but it didn't turn out that big. So I'm a little bit nervous about this year's big market. I will tell you more about that in upcoming videos, but be sure to stay tuned if you enjoyed this content. If you want to see more embroidery tutorials, behind the scenes, market prep, small business ideas, give us a follow. I'd love for you to come along for the ride. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. It'll help other viewers find content that they're going to love too. Until next time, friends, happy stitching.